Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not to Comic Book. This being a show where I talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Sweet Combat, Season 1, Episode 19. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So immediately picking up in the aftermath of last episode, and, Queen and Tian get to spend even more time together. They get to go on that ride that she's like, yeah, I haven't been able to go on this since I was 10 years old, and Tian kind of invites her to go into it because obviously she's thinking about being younger, because obviously she still associates that time with, hey, when I was younger, I was so much of my life is dictated by other people. Now there's this situation where I get this one day to kind of just be me a little bit and get to have fun and just not have to worry about being what my grandfather wants me to be, and just probably just be able to just kind of be queen and gets to enjoy that. I love that Zhao Mi got sick because of the ride, so she got stuck looking after the kids this time. Whereas, first Hao is going off cleaning himself up. Yanan goes along with Queen and Tian to a haunted house, which I was wondering if I can't tell if she actually was legitimately scared or not, because she says later on, I was giving you guys alone time, so so it was 100% intentional, her being oh, I'm not scared, because she did chase one of the other people away near the end of the haunted house thing. But it was really nice. Even Tian taking her hand and being yeah, just close your eyes and follow me, I'll guide you out. And I was look at you being so cute and adorable. But yeah, I love that they screwed it up for everyone at their school, because Queen, I don't know if it's also because of the way Yanan was acting too. Maybe she did get freaked out, or at least was trying to put up a brave front. But the fact is that their entire school is banned. They made a new rule at the school, none of their students could go to those haunted houses because you might freak out and kick, because one guy got taken out in a stretcher after Queen kicked him, and they're super apologetic and stuff like that about I'm sorry that happened. And it's I love the director's oh, what are we gonna do about this? They're calling us, and the president is all right, just make it a new rule so no one can go there. So that group basically screwed everyone from ever going to any haunted houses ever. I love that it's just a random rule. I love that bit. So I thought that was interesting. I also love that Yanan ended up running into Guanyan, and he got her that giant teddy bear, and it's right, I want your response. And she's you want it now? Because for her it's I don't get it, why do you like me? He's you don't really need a reason to like someone. But she's it doesn't make any sense. There are girls that are prettier than me, better fighter than me. There's Queen and there's Zhao Feng. She's actually, never mind, strike Zhao Feng from the conversation. She's average at best. I was the Zhao Feng shade, holy crap. But it's yeah, she's fine, if you really like me, then give me 100 reasons why you like me, and I'll tell you. We got up to number 25 in the episode, and just yeah, he's he says the first one, and he starts texting her all the other ones, and I was it's super adorable. And once again, seeing her so bashful, hiding behind the teddy bear a little bit, I'm it's so cute, because she doesn't see herself as girly in any fashion. And so I think for her, that's why she's just I don't get it, why do you like me? It's so far-fetched from her. Just there's a little bit of that complex, Tian's got it too, of I can't, why would you even like me? There's no way, there's no way Queen could ever like me, he doesn't see himself in that way. And I think Yanan is in that same boat. It's actually interesting, her kind of going through her love life situation when we had this situation with her dad, who, so it does seem no, her mom is dead, because at first I was did they change that, or is that going to be a situation of, oh, it's a fake out to make you think she's dead, but he makes it sound like she is, but they're just divorced. It's no, she died. The way they kind of made it sound it was almost Yanan was fairly young when her mom died, because he was commenting on how young she was when she died or whatever, so... And it's seeing him so heartbroken. He was captivated by her. He's basically it was love at first sight. Well, first kick is what bound them together. And she kind of has these dots. She has I don't know if they're moles, but on her foot they're kind of in the form of you connect them together. It's kind of as he kind of describes it, as a Big Dipper type of constellation. and he just misses her, and he's like, yeah, the last time I like told her, like she talked to her, but even with her last breath, she was trying to make sure we were okay. And he's like, I've done a great job raising you as a daughter, but she'd even ask me like, oh, who's going to take care of me? And I was like, no, I'm going to be fine. She's like, you're going to find someone else with a similar pattern on her foot, and that person will be kind of your next forever person, which is super adorable. Like I said, but seeing him like break down with the picture and stuff, and like, oh my god, it was actually really sweet and endearing. But I love Yana being like, wait, isn't that from a Stephen Chow movie? It's like, no, your mom was a big Stephen Chow fan. Like, this shows you her characteristics, that she would quote a movie with her last breath. Just kind of shows you what kind of person she was. Because Yana was like, aren't you misremembering? Aren't you combining reality with a movie? I don't know if that is. I don't know whether that's being. I don't know if his perspective is true. It seems like it is, where he's like, no, she was a big fan of those movies, so I do remember it correctly. It's like, that's who your mom was, personality wise. Of course, her final words would be her kind of jokingly being serious, but also joking, and using like her final breath being like quoting like something from a movie that she loved. So I just thought that was interesting. And then like, her dad is on a bike and stuff. I'm like, well, since we set that up, I'm like, is it going to be Hal's mom? Please tell me it's going to be Hal's. And he runs into her, and he finds like, her shoe fell off and her foot got injured, and he sees the bottom of her foot. I was like, because I didn't talk about it during the preliminaries, but I was wondering like, like haters to lovers type of situation. Like, I was wondering if that's what, because you didn't have the best first impression of each other and then eventually falling in love. I mean, that's like reciprocated throughout the entire like love story of this series, because it's like, well, I mean, that's where Queen and Tian were. They didn't have the best first interaction, but look at where they are now and where they eventually will grow and go. Obviously, the only exception to that is like, I guess arguably, depending on how they handle, if they handle Zhao Mi's story the way I think they will, it doesn't turn to a haters to lovers story, like hate to love type of thing in a similar vein. It could be it's not the love you expected. I think that's going to be more like the other storylines, like Zhao Mi's and Yanan. They're going to be like like love they didn't expect in their life type of situation. So like, oh, didn't see this coming. So even more so with Zhao Mi's story, because that's very true to like her counterpart in the webtoon Dao Dao, so. But he kind of Yanan's dad kind of screwed up on this situation, because he tried to he was like, because like Hal's mom was like, oh my god, I recognize you. He's like, oh yeah, right, I know who you are. Yeah, we met at the preliminary. He's like, yeah, your son went up against my my protege, and it's like, yeah, like he stomped him. And she was laughing for a bit, and then she stopped, and he realizes like, yeah, I kind of screwed that up, didn't I? But it's like, yeah, I just like met this person. I was like, that's actually kind of cute, knowing that like, it's funny, like, oh, that's potentially like where that story's going to go. Like, that's going to be a budding love story. I'm curious to see how that continues to play out. Some other elements to the episode. The Queen is back at school, and she's happy, and everyone's kind of like, oh my god, Queen's back, that's so amazing. Which I think is so interesting, because like, we never really saw, because Queen doesn't really have any friends at the school. I think everyone looks up to her and admires her, but like even in the webtoon, you never really seen Queen interact outside of like the core cast, because it's also because like that's who she is. She's very bashful like that, and like Yanan's like her only friend. Her and Zhao Mi are a weird space, but like there's a weird complicated friendship there. But it's like, yeah, like everyone's happy to have Queen back, and she's happy to be back. So when she's training and stuff, she's smiling, because it's like, for her, it's like, I get to be me for the first time in a while. I get to just be Queen, I get to be like the person I define myself as, once again, not what other people define me as. So that was kind of a nice thing for her. But it turns out that the president of the school, they're sending Queen, Yanan, and Zhao Mi as like representatives of their school, because they're going to be holding an exhibition match, which they really don't want to do. But I love the director trying to throw shade at them, be like, we still haven't even gotten to the fact is the haunted house thing. But the girls were able to kind of squeeze the situation and make it so that, hey, the school's going to pay for your trip there, and they get to kind of like set up the conditions, because like this is about helping enrollment for their school. Like, we need to basically make it so that people are more enticed to decide to come to our school. What's interesting though, it's taking place in Macau, where Tian is from. So he's getting brought along, and very much like Jaegu in the webtoon, he's going to be playing more of a coach role, which he's kind of like, I don't think I'm the right person for this, but Yanan shows like, no, you are. She's like, I noticed it during the preliminaries, like how you dissected Guanyan and Hao's fight, and then a similar thing was Zhao, Mi, and Hao when they were doing their little like test sparring. It's like he was able to kind of point out Zhao Mi's weaknesses as well as Hao's, and it's like even just in a minute, like his eye, like he has a brain for it. Like, is that's interesting how they've incorporated. He's like, yeah, I got it. It's a byproduct of me, my delivery jobs. It's kind of like that's just like his mind works like that now. Like he's able to kind of route stuff out and analyze stuff like that. So he's kind of got a mind for it as well. So I thought that's kind of an interesting layer to add, because like that's not a thing for Jaegu in the. Like he's trained enough with them to kind of pick up some stuff where he's like, okay, like I know how to like coach them. And there were pivotal moments in the webtoon where his coaching did come in handy. So like I said, like because a lot of that gets saved for the actual finals for the tournament, but like I said, I don't know if they're going to do that or not, especially if this exhibition stuff is supposed to fill that role, because there's once again, that's why I was wondering, I was like, is the finals happening? Because I'm like, there's no way they're not going to let that happen on screen, because it needs to, because like I've kept reiterating over and over again, there's certain storylines they've introduced into this webtoon that's like, I mean into the TV show that I'm like, you have to showcase that, especially in correlation with what those, especially because what it adds to what's already in the webtoon, what it adds to that with the context of some of the differences of story beats they've introduced in the TV show versus the webtoon. It adds even more context to some of those matches, finals wise and stuff like that. So there's that element to it. Poor Hao kind of gets left out, and I love that he kind of pulls a Yanan because he's like sighing all the time around his mom. So I think she's going to try and make sure he's able to go, because for him it's a situation of he doesn't want to feel left out, because like literally, I mean, we don't like, much like the others, like they own that group pretty much sticks together, and so Hao doesn't like, it's like, right, my friends get to go, and there's not much of a budget, so only they can go and I can't. But if he can go, he just has to pay for it himself. So I'm sure his mom is going to try and like allow him to do this, because she knows how important it is to him, and how, you know, she wants this to, you know, like, because his whole point previously was always like, right, him dropping out of those schools, but this is something he's dedicated himself towards. So I think for her, it's like, it's the continuation of his growth, and she wants to help him out, I'm sure, because I mean, she's a really good mom, so I'm sure she's going to like end up, you know, making stuff happen so that she's able to pay for it. So we'll see, but I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to go, because I'm about to feel bad for Hao, because like amongst our core group, he's the only one that doesn't get to go. I was like, that would suck. But either way, we also have the Queen situation, because we have Shi Wei coming back into the story, because her grandfather's still really pushing that, because it's like, right, he has experience in Dubai, you're going to be going to Dubai soon, so I think you two should communicate. But she wants nothing to do with Shi Wei. Once again, like I talked about this in the episode he first was introduced, that in this version of the story, they're making it so that the boy who like denounced her and called her a freak, or like that's the her and the like potential like fiance thing they're setting up are the same character, whereas I said in the webtoon those are two separate characters. So I'd also brought it up, I talked about it, I kept it kind of vague, but he's the other, like I've talked about it early on, like, oh, there's another potential love interest. It's not really a love interest situation, because like Queen's not into him, it's just an obligation, just like here in the both in the webtoon and this, it's just an family obligation. It's the only reason why she kind of goes along with it. So but yeah, she has no interest in Shi Wei, especially because like she's already like doubled down on who she actually has feelings for. But also like their history doesn't like makes her automatic. If it wasn't even if it wasn't for Tien, she already has like he created a complex in her. Like he's one of the main reasons. I mean, he's one of many. It's like, should he be should he be like held for like that? Should that be held against him forever? Maybe, maybe not, because you also see like he's a douchebag. I think it's interesting because, like, the equivalent, like, they immediately let you know from the beginning how much of a dick he is, which is so interesting. Once again, not only making him, like, they are leaning into him just being a D-bag, whereas, like, the webtoon, they present him a certain way first, and then you kind of find out he's a tool bag later, you know? because he doesn't really like very much like this counterparts. Like he says, like, yeah, I'm only here because of my dad. He said that in the previous episode. They kind of showed flashback of that. Same thing for the webtoon. It's like, yeah, he's only doing this because it's like, yeah, but he doesn't actually have feelings for Queen. The funny thing is, and I'm curious to see if they'll end up doing it or not. But slightly spoiler, but like I said, it depends on if the show does it or not. He actually has a thing for Moon Young. Like he saw Moon Young and fell for her. So she's not even the one. Queen's not even the one he actually likes. It's actually Moon Young. But like him and Yanan interact, but nothing ever came up. Nothing was set up immediately. So not less the next episode kind of changes that. Which with where the episode goes, this episode, I could see that being a situation where we can set it up to set up the whole thing that he's kind of into Yanan, which doesn't matter considering like. Guan Yan's into her, and she's also into him, too. So, she just is fighting it tooth and nail. But yeah, like, basically, Queen gave him a condition of, you have to find me a French chef, but it has to be this and serves this. Like, she gave him all these conditions, like, find that first, and then we can have dinner. Because she was hoping he wouldn't be able to find that person, but sadly, he was able to. So, that kind of screwed everything up. But like I said, I think it's an interesting difference is like they present, especially because this is where I'm going to get into like something that is kind of really interesting about the depiction of Shi-Wei in this versus the webtoon, because especially in correlation with Tien versus Jaegu. Because Jaegu, like in the webtoon, kind of looks at this dude, the kind of sort of fiance dude, as like, oh man, he's actually kind of a good dude. Like, and anytime Queen is around, he would talk the guy up because he was embarrassed. Like, right, like this guy could do so much more for her than I can. Which I think we're getting a little bit with Tien, but like Tien recognizes how much of a tool bag he is because he overheard Shi-Wei talk about Queen. Like, yeah, like why would I even really want to be with that freak if it wasn't for my dad? So he knows how Shi-Wei really is, whereas Jaegu had his pretenses of like, oh, this guy seems like a good dude. They had a thing in the webtoon where basically Queen's brother constantly set up this competition between him and Jaegu. Basically lost every bit of the competition. So it's like, oh, this guy's actually a good guy all around. Like I said, they presented him in a better light. I don't think any of the other characters, it's actually interesting because none of our characters, it was only us as the readers that actually got to see how much of a douchebag he is, because like none of the characters ever got to really witness it. Like Jaegu never saw him for like the tool that he is. Even like the last time you see him in the webtoon is under douchebag circumstances. And that's the last time you see him at all in the webtoon, is not in a extremely non-favorable light. But I think like he's a tool, like I said, tool bag in the webtoon, but I think they're going to lean into him being even crappier in the live action. We'll see. He might just get the exact same amount of treatment. We'll see. But because Tien was trying to make it seem like when he runs into him at the school, because he's trying to contact Queen, but she's ignoring him. And Tien's like, right, like, I'm going to pretend like I don't know Queen. He doesn't remember him from the restaurant, which shows you a lot of, like, I mean, once again, you had one interaction. Of course, he really wouldn't. I mean, that just shows you, like, right, he's on another level. I meet so many people. Why would I remember a waiter you're not worth remembering? But for him, he's running his mouth about, like, how could, like, why is she learning something like fighting and stuff like that? Shouldn't she be more girly and stuff like that? Why can't she let me spoil her? But then like Tien was going to walk away, but he was like, no, you don't, like, that's disrespectful to every student that comes here, because he had that perspective. He's grown to realize like, no, like what fighting and combat means to the women at this school, like, don't underestimate how important that is. And also it's just like, it's a fundamental, especially because it's also coming from the perspective of he knows how much this means to Queen too. So it's like disparaging the thing that she loves, the thing that she got to experience that helped make her feel like herself, And so Queen doesn't want to go with Shi-Wei, but it's kind of like, yeah, he agreed with this. So Tien kind of didn't want to go, very much like the not wanting to eat the chow mein because he thought the Hao and Queen situation, so he didn't want to go. But it's like he should have gone because Yanan was like, no, let's go. Like, but I think it was just a reminder of like, I don't belong in this world. I think it's more so that like he can do so much more for her, even though I know he's a tool bag. And even then, it's like I know she's only in this situation because her grandfather did. It's not like she likes the dude, but it's like, what can I really do? What can I really offer her? I think it's, what's rummaging through his mind. But Yanan had this whole thing set up. It's like, oh yeah, I'm going to go along with you and Queen, which he didn't put up much fight because it's like, hey, this is your best friend. Like, I don't know if he knows that, but it's like, right, sure, you're the one that's convincing Queen to go. So But it's all because Yanan was literally going to invite everyone from the school. Also invited Zhao Mi as well as the entire Taekwondo club. So it is a situation of trying to make him pay out the wazoo. It was like, oh, if it's so interesting because like Queen, set up her challenge and her grandfather was not too happy about it, but like her brother was like, no, like if he really cares for Queen, he'd kind of put forth the effort to be like, yeah, I'm really into you, I'll go to whatever lengths. And Yanan's kind of doing a similar thing where it's like, hey, like you care so much, you're so nice, you're going to treat all of us right, because he doesn't want to seem like, he wants to be in the best light with Queen. He wants her to see him a certain way, so he doesn't want to be the douchebag. But like, no, I'm going to turn down all your friends who want to eat. Like, I want to show, like, nah, this is no problem. But it's like, yeah, it's going to get super, super expensive. Literally, there's dozens of people at this restaurant. And even, he's like, oh, I guess that's everyone, right? And Queen's like, well, a few more people might show up. So it'd be nice if, like, Hao would show up or even Tien would show up. Like, even though he decided not to, I think it'd be nice if he did decide to still show up, or maybe Yanan will convince him to show up. I think that would be nice, but we'll have to wait to see how that ultimately will end up playing out or not. So. But some very, very interesting circumstances and situations. I'm excited to see where the next episode ultimately ends up taking us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.